Welcome back to Franco Fridays. It's been a while. I've got a huge stack of Franco stuff I haven't gotten to, but I did look at a film this week. I've been doing in July, the science fiction challenge, so I've been focused mainly on science fiction, but I do have a backlog of Franco that I need to go through. So I did that. I'm going to share my thoughts on this film with you, and that is 1980's Sinfonia Erotica. Now, this is a Severin release. It's a recent release, produced in 1980. It was a joint production between Spain and Portugal, and it is a Marquis de Sade story centered around the themes of the Marquis de Sade. It stars Susan Hemingway, who was in Love Letters of a Portuguese Nun, and of course Lena Remey. Lena is married to a count who basically is foregoing her emotions and love for other people, including men and actually the nun played by Susan Hemingway. It's a very strange film because it's shot. It's probably one of Franco's most brilliant technical achievements in terms of the avant-garde nature of how he shot the film. But it is a really disorienting film in a lot of ways, and it's all good. It's one of my favorite films that he's done. There's not a lot of gore in it. Essentially, the plot line again is that Lena, who's married to this count, has all the money, and this count and his bisexual lover and this other woman plot to kill her off to get to the money, basically. So it's a simple plot, but it's almost soap opera-ish in the nature of the plot. But because of the settings and the music and the way Franco shoots the film, the whole proceedings rises above into really some surrealistic avant-garde territory. A couple examples of that would be, you'll have him shooting a scene of two people kissing in a room, which is perfectly lit, and then he moves the camera off into a window that's looking out on some outdoor scenery that's basically blurs out everything. It just becomes kind of washed out, in that it's really, I would think that most directors wouldn't be taught to do that. It's almost the opposite, I think, of what you would be taught to do in a normal film school. But leave it to Franco to break down those cliches and vanilla kind of filmmaking. It works on a lot of levels. It really makes you kind of feel like maybe the best description would be that you've gone into surgery and you've had, they've doped you up the anesthesiologist has doped you up, you went through surgery, and you're coming out of surgery and you're just trying to find your bearings. It's one of those deals. Of course, you've got all the normal sex in this. It's a lot of nudity, and for the first time you do get a homosexual scene, for the first time as far as Franco shooting it anyway. But clearly the guy's bisexual because he does it with females and males. And apparently Marquis de Sade was that way as well. He really was an equal opportunist in that regard. The film is about betrayal. It's about withholding of affection. It's about obsession, sex, and murder. All the things that we know and love from Franco are here. The music is incredibly unique. Apparently Franco took classical music, Franz Liszt specifically, and he and Daniel White got together and took elements of classical music and merged that with some really avant-garde. It's not really jazz, it's more like Brian Eno type music. If you like Roxy music and you like that experimental type stuff, that it's got more of a a feel of like Brian Eno than it does jazz. It's very disorienting, and it's obviously intended to accentuate the surreal nature of the film. The sets, as usual, Franco's getting a lot for nothing. He found a hotel, which was a home of a very rich person in Spain, or potentially, I guess, Portugal. And the film is shot there. So you've got this huge mansion, which apparently is now a hotel, for the setting of this soap opera, this Marquis de Sade soap opera you got going on. And the irony of it is, you got these long hallways and huge rooms with 20-foot ceilings, that type of deal. It's very claustrophobic the way he shoots the film. You just feel like you're immersed in this huge mansion, but you feel like you just can't breathe watching these characters just blow up, basically just emotionally blow up to the point of committing murder. Very interesting film. It's the first time I've seen it, and I think it's one of these that's gonna require multiple viewings, as is typical. Franco and Jean Rollin, would be the closest person I could compare that to. This type of film to would be a Jean Rollin vampire film. The Severin release is outstanding. The picture quality is great. It's a 4K scan. It's got one of the last interviews with Franco before he died in 2013, a 6-minute interview where and I've got maybe 60, 70 of his films. And special feature wise, this one is the only one that I can recall that he ever talked about his first wife, who came down with a tumor or Alzheimer's and died. And he stuck with her to the end, apparently. So it's very commendable of him. Stephen Thrower is on here. Of course, he's the resident expert on Franco films, and he's written 2 books. The latest one, which is 1977, to the end of Franco's career, that book apparently has been delayed in publishing. I've been waiting to get it. It was supposed to come out in May, and now it looks like it's saying December 18th. So if anybody knows about the second volume of the Franco films, if that's out or available, let me know. Anyway, there's a 22-minute interview with Stephen Thrower, who does an excellent job of talking about this time capsule of when he made this film and some of the others. And of course, he talks in some detail about this film as well. But I highly, highly recommend, if you're a Franco fan or a Jean Rollin film, and you're interested in avant-garde cinema or surrealistic cinema, then this is up your alley. I like these black cases, but it's pretty much plain Jane inside. There's the disc, and there's no alternate artwork, so it's fairly plain Jane in that regard. But it's a great release of a great film, Sinfonia Erotica. If you've seen it, have some thoughts on it, feel free to leave them below and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching.